Everyone is saying that the Mclaren 750S is just a tiny facelifted 720. The internet has rumours abound of it being a marketing exercise to get a new car to market, but they're all wrong. In this video, I'm going to explain why the internet owes this car an apology. My name is Johnny at Anthony James Cars. This is going to be our deep dive into the Mclaren 750S. So, let's start with the thing I hear most online on the interweb about the 750. Ooh, it's slower than the car it replaces. Yeah, but there's a good reason. The 720 was a 212 mile an hour supercar. The 750, 206 miles an hour. But they've reduced the final drive on their gearbox to make it accelerate harder and faster. Give me acceleration over top speed all day long. I have never maxed out a supercar. I have never gone 200 miles an hour on public roads. Acceleration gives you more excitement, more drive. Give me acceleration all day long. So this is kind of the premise behind what Mclaren have done with the 750. Sure, it looks the same. It's that same lithe, teardrop style, mid-engined, exotic supercar shape it always has been. It's the same monocell carbon tub. It's the same 4-litre V8 twin turbo. So on the surface, it looks very much the same. But it's what's underneath the surface that makes McLaren so fantastic at what they do. McLaren with the 750 went into full mad scientist mode, and it's the sum of all the little things that they've done. So to start with the point, this windscreen is about 2 kilograms lighter than it was before. The infotainment binnacle, the clocks and steering bit that I hated, but I now love it, and I'll explain why. We'll get to that later on in the video, is about 2 kilograms lighter. The rear spoiler at the back, which is 20% bigger than it was before. It's the spoiler that's in the 765 level with a little recess to make for better visibility, is 2 kilograms thereabouts lighter. Weight saving is throughout this car. Those bits alone equates to that, which may not seem a huge amount of weight, but the weight saving doesn't stop there. The suspension has been tuned differently, but it's 2 kilograms or thereabouts lighter. The wheels, all 4 wheels, are now 15 kilograms lighter. So that then means the weight saving is that much, which is quite some considerable weight difference from the previous car. And this is why McLaren are so good at what they do. They still follow that Colin Chapman thing of, it's what you leave out that counts. And we're going to get to that with the aesthetics to the inside. But in terms of weight saving, this car is roughly 8.5 of these lighter than the Ferrari 296. It's still a lightweight supercar. What McLaren has done, I believe in many ways, is a love letter to the purest form of supercar. It is, in fact, 260 kilos lighter than the 296. That would be like putting 2 rugby players and a supermodel and strapping them to the roof of this car to get the weight the same. So there are aesthetic tweaks. You've got this lovely little vent now from the 765. You've got this much more pronounced lower spoiler with bigger apertures. So what I'll do is I'm going to put a shot up of the front of the 720 And I'll put up a shot of the 750 so we can quickly see the differences between the two. As we go through the design, much of what made the 720 so beautiful remains in the 750. We've got a deeper, more pronounced vent here, which makes more of a feature of this angle. Again, really improves the shape of the car. And on the back, you now have a single port exhaust, which we're going to go to and look at the back of the car now. We'll go through the exhaust with you. So to the back of the car, it's even more dramatic than the 720. It's where probably most of the changes aesthetically appear. As I mentioned earlier, you've got this massive rear spoiler, which is 20% bigger and as well as lighter. Now, the air braking system on these with the rear ported exhaust is something to behold. Obviously, we don't drive our cars like lunatics, but I'm going to try and put a clip up now to show you that air brake and the exhaust right now. As you can see, it's just drama and excitement throughout. What is lovely is, again, with the design, you've got more of this mesh, so you can see inside, naturally see some of the magic right through to the bottom, that you can see the transmission tunnel, and again, covers over to the cover of the engine. And what's lovely, you still have that red glow of the engine. But again, it's the effective aero that McLaren, their engineers have, again, improved the car in the sense that its compliance to the road is far, far better, in that playful at lower speeds and when you want it to be playful, yet absolutely a laser-guided smart bomb when you want to be a lunatic on a track day. A criticism of the 720, again, what the internet is saying is, it looks the same. Well, hang on a minute. Let's just go over here and I'll make my point at two other cars we've got in the barn. Bear with me. So, when the internet says, ugh, the 750 looks like the 720. Come on now. You can't love it when Porsche does it and then hate it when McLaren does it. And to be fair, this is the 992, the latest version. There's now a 992.2, the upgraded one, which is exactly the same. This is a whole different generation. The 991 still looks like the 992. The generation before this, the 997, looks like the 991. The 996 looks like the 997. You got the 930, 993. Come on now. Porsche have been doing this for 50 years. So, can we knock that one on the head? It looks beautiful. It still looks beautiful. The 720 was amazing. Other one's better. So, again, much the same. It's wonderful evolution to the inside of the McLaren. The iris system now is much more improved. It moves beautifully like a modern smartphone. It no longer feels like a cheap tablet you bought off Amazon. It now feels perfect. Even has Apple CarPlay, which for some reason people want their supercar to be like a phone. I don't get it, but each to their own. One of the major improvements, though, is one of the things I hated about the Mclaren 750 until I understood the genius behind what the McLaren engineers have done. So the old McLaren system had a clock that when you put it into track mode, it would flip, slide into the dash, and you'll have to change lights. And it was really dramatic. It had that whole Thunderbirdsy James Bond thing that I loved. However, when you look at the picture that I'll put up now, it did look pretty dated. But now what you have is this binnacle system. All of this is now 2 kilograms or thereabouts lighter than before, but it's all fixed. And this is because the McLaren engineers have worked out the optimum viewing area. So it's optimized for your ability and performance, even to the switch gears for handling and performance. Now, the switches used to be down here to the left-hand side. You have 2 switches, which was a bit of a faff. Now you can just literally click through, go to manual, turn the traction if you need to. It's so much better and so much easier. And I have to also talk about the handling of the car. The McLaren 720's handling was always absolutely fantastic. It was always perfect. However, one of the criticisms I had, and there's only two real criticisms we get from McLaren on the 720, is at low speeds, full lock turning around town or just driving sort of relatively briskly on tight turns, the steering would go all vague. It was doing its job, it was biting onto the tarmac, the handling has always been otherworldly, but at lower speeds, medium speeds at full lock, it always felt a little bit detached. But because they've widened the track by 6 mil, they've changed the steering rack, they've improved the rebound of the suspension, that's gone. You get that amazing tactile, intimate feel everywhere all the time, whether you're trying to headbutt the horizon or you're just driving around town. The steering lock is bigger. It's just so much better, the intelligence behind the design. Another massive improvement to the 750 over the 720 is lift now has a button. At last, McLaren. And this is one thing I'm going to touch on later on in this video about McLaren. I think they are a manufacturer that does still listen to its customers. I know the dealers have problems, and I know the aftercare has problems, but from an engineer's point of view, they've ticked every box that people had that was a no on the 720s. With the lift before, you have to go through a little lever, you'd have to go for a menu to select a sub-menu to select the lift. The whole thing took 10 seconds, which doesn't sound bad, until you're driving along in traffic and you get to a speed bump and you have to stop cars for 10 seconds. And that 10 seconds seems like a minute and you feel like everybody's laughing at you. Now, you hit a button, the lift takes just 4 seconds. But McLaren have maintained this beautiful, featureless steering wheel. There's no buttons, no switches. It's just you and a wheel and a supercar attacking the road. It is just automotive perfection. And when I say the McLaren engineers, I think, do listen, I think they really have. The improvements on this car, the lightness, the steering, the geometry, let me just put that into perspective for you. Let me just preface that. Unlike YouTubers and journalists who are there to get people to watch their videos and they're only beholden to advertisers and rate cards, I sell supercars. And that gives me very much an at the coalface awareness of people's ownership of cars. So we get cars from people when they've had it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they're looking to get their next supercar. So we get a more intimate understanding of what they like and what they don't like. Things like that lightness of steering that I mentioned earlier. Things like the lift, which again I mentioned earlier. But one of the main criticisms of the 720, which is an odd one, people used to say, I love it, but it's too good. And you'd go, well, what do you mean too good? And what they would say is, well, when I take it on a track day, I mean, yes, it's so comfortable. It's like a GT car. I could drive from Sussex to Spa, and I could destroy everything on Spa and then drive back again in absolute comfort. It's kind of witchcraft how they've made their cars so comfortable. But when I go on track days, it feels like the squishy carbon life form, the human sat in the seat, is what lets the McLaren down. It's the human. And then they would say something like, I just wish it felt a bit more like my 600 LT. Because people then, they merge, they'll have their 600 LT or their GT3 RS and they'll go to the next supercar. And they wanted something more raw and a bit more focused and a bit more aggressive, but also more refined. That's exactly what McLaren has done. They've exactly ticked all of those boxes. So the suspension is set lighter at the front, softer at the front and harder at the back. So it's more aggressive when it needs to be more aggressive. It's more playful. They've designed the exit of the exhaust and the air at the back so that at low speeds, it's mischievous and playful and naughty. But then when you get to faster speed, when you get 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, it sucks itself to the ground again and it becomes everything that the 750 was, except they've turned the dial up to 11. It is faster in the sense that it accelerates, so much more visceral, it's so much raw. And again, do McLaren listen to their customers? I think they do. The exhaust system, which we will look at in a second, it's not just that it's a few kilos lighter, they've exited it higher from the exhaust, and it's a single exit exhaust now. And they have made it sound nicer. One of the criticisms that McLaren owners have, because McLaren are mad boffins, they don't seem to be concerned about sound, they're concerned about performance. You know, the best way I can describe it is the loudness of the fart doesn't make the smell more enjoyable. Probably the worst analogy I've ever come up with, but they've gone, fair enough, we'll improve the sound. So the exhaust now sounds like this, which it harkens back, doesn't it, to that old school Formula One car before it went down the V6 and sounded a bit dull. So it sounds more mental, but again, if you want that sound, you need to extract it, you need to drive it. But yeah, it does everything better, everything better. So in summary, it's lighter, but not just lighter, it's lighter where it counts. The suspension, the steering, the geometry, everything's been tweaked and evolved and changed to make it far friendlier to drive, with giving you perfect communication, yet it's more dynamic and more visceral at high speeds. It's as raw and engaging as a 600 LT, yet it has even more bonkers performance than the 720. The Iris is far easier to use. It has Apple CarPlay. It now has a lift system that you can do with a button. Thank God, I don't know why it took so long for them to do that. It still looks as beautiful as it ever did, but here's the thing. It isn't about the numbers with the 750. It isn't a numbers car. It doesn't matter that it's nearly 260 kilos lighter than the 296. It doesn't matter that it's 30 kilos lighter than the 720. It doesn't matter that the lift only happens in 4 seconds now, because I do believe this is McLaren's love letter to the supercar form. It's a simple, mental supercar. No hybrid system, even the steering wheel is uncluttered and buttons free. It's just a mid-engined V8 turbocharged, simple supercar. It's not a numbers car, it's a feelings car. The engagement and driving feeling of this car is almost supernatural. It is an absolutely, absolutely wonderful car. And the improvement, even though they say it's about 30% different to a 720, it feels 200% different to a 720. This is why I think the internet deserves to apologise to the 750S. It is a truly, truly spectacular evolution from the 720. I'm Johnny, this is Anthony James Cars, and a link to this car is in the description below. Hope you liked the video. If you've got any questions, please do put in the comments, and I'm doing my very best to answer them.